All right. All right. And we are live. Okay. Welcome in, ladies. Welcome in. So we're trying something different today. Oh, I'm so excited. We're trying to be efficient. Okay. So we are live on Facebook, and we're also live on LinkedIn. So I'm excited for what we're going to talk about today. So welcome in, everyone. Welcome in. Who's joining me live today? Welcome in, ladies. We have something so juicy and so interesting to talk about. Oh, I can't wait. So welcome in, ladies. Welcome in. If you're watching me live from Facebook, just type Team Live. If you're watching me live from LinkedIn, type Team Live L, I guess. Yeah, Team Live L. Okay, so welcome in, everyone. So if this is the first time that you're seeing me or hearing me, you are welcome. My name is Abby, and I am a work-life balance coach for professional women. So I help professional women have balance, peace, energy, and time for their personal life. And in my work with women, one of the questions that I get asked regularly is, yeah, Abby, it's great to do all these things to manage stress, but I have to be on all the time. Yeah, Abby, yeah, all these tips and tricks are fantastic, but will they expect me to be available 24/7 at work? How do I manage this? How do I cope with this? And so part of doing this work is listening to you guys, because sometimes I will think I've spoken about it, and then I get new people within my network asking me the same question. So I thought, you know what? Why don't we talk about this whole thing with women feeling like they need to be available 24/7 at work in order to feel like they need to be taken seriously and they need to be respected. And so today we're going to be delving into not just what you guys know, like, boundaries and all that stuff. No, we're going to talk about some of the psychological and even evolutionary reasons why women feel the need to be available all the time in order for them to be taken seriously. Okay, so I know what you guys have heard. We'll blame the corporate workplace. We'll say, the culture is toxic and stuff like that. And the thing about my work, you guys, is that I believe that we have the power to change our lives. And so my focus is looking at the reasons behind why we as women do what we do, so that we can make those changes long term. Okay, so that's why we're going to be talking about the psychology behind it as well as the evolutionary reasons. So what is the gist of what I'm saying? Okay, so this whole thing of feeling like when you're at work, especially if you are someone in a leadership role, feeling like if you're not responding to emails at 6 p.m., 7 p.m., 8 p.m., tomorrow when you get into work, people are not going to take you seriously. This whole feeling of nobody's going to respect me if I'm not overworking, burning myself out and proving myself and showing them that I've earned the right to be where I am. This whole feeling of I don't feel good enough, so I have to break my back just so that I can feel that I am worthy of where I am. This whole thing, where does it all start? Why is it that so many women are struggling with this and continue to struggle with it when we have solutions out there? If you Google how to avoid burnout, you're going to see a lot of things. Okay, ladies, let's take a step back and talk about our evolution and how we have evolved as women from the time where we were hunters and gatherers. Okay, what am I talking about? So our foremothers, the women that used to be what we call gatherers, part of the work that they used to do, their contribution was they would, nurture the kids, nurture the family. They would go out in groups then they would go and gather what they can bring together, and they will supplement that with what the men would hunt for. Okay? Now, part of maintaining this structure and unit in that time was that women played a pivotal role in keeping the family unit and the social unit together. What was that role? Which is what I talked about. We were and have continued to be the primary caregivers and nurturers. It doesn't matter whether you have children or not. If you identify as a woman, the DNA is in you. So the instincts are in you. So the question goes, well, Abby, why is this important? Like, how does this affect the way that I feel like I have to be on all the time? Okay. So because the need to be a nurturer or nurturing was a primary survival instinct, like it was a primary survival thing that had to be done. If nobody was there to take care of kids, we wouldn't even be here where we are. Okay, let's even just stop there. So because of that, our bodies have been programmed primarily to respond to certain triggers that will bring out that instinct in us. So what does this mean? This means that part of being a woman is that you have this need to want to make sure that, everybody's taken care of, everyone is together, everyone is playing well, everyone is doing, working together and stuff like that. And part of having that need is also going to trigger you to always feel like you need to be on. What does it mean to be on? To be on means that you're constantly looking after things. Now, women take this, and of course, it's not happening on a conscious level, but women then take this need into the workplace. And so they then feel, and then they have this perception that their work, their team, their colleagues, they start to view them as people that need to be nurtured. Now, a lot of the thing that is associated with this instinct is not happening on a conscious level. We subtly include it under when we say bias and gender bias and stuff like that. It's subtly included there, but why I don't like to use that term to describe what I'm describing is because when we say bias and stuff like that, the focus is on others. The focus is on others are treating women this way, hence there is a problem. What I'm saying is that we ourselves as women, we have this response in us that a lot of us cannot control. Now, of course, there are people that are neurodivergent and they may not necessarily have this nurturing need in them. That's fine. But the average woman has this need to want to make sure that everyone is taken care of, the social structures are maintained, we're all friends, we're playing together and stuff like that. And because you have that need in you, even when it's not required, even when nobody has asked you to, even when your managers, your executives, or whatever is your supervisors, even when they haven't asked you to, what you will notice is that you will start to engage in behaviors that will keep you on, that will make it's pretty much you telling yourself, I have to make sure that everyone is okay. So I have to make sure that my job is okay. I have to make sure that my colleague is okay. I have to make sure that this is okay. And that is what we refer to as always constantly being on, available 24/7. And so the reason why this number one, I'm calling it out, is because it is happening behind the scenes. And you as a woman, you don't know it. And so what will happen is that you almost start to feel like there's something wrong with you, or there's something wrong with the environment that you are. But the truth is there's nothing wrong with you. It's just, you're just a woman. That's it. When you were created, when our foremothers were created, they were not working outside the home. So nature didn't think that we would get to a state where we would work outside the home, more so in office. And so all these mechanisms and instincts in us are still there because we still are the primary caregivers and we still need to play that role, especially if you have kids. And even if you don't have kids, you have other things that you're nurturing. You might have a business, you might have a project, you might have an idea. These are avenues where you bring out that energy in you. Okay? So one of the very first reasons why you may be struggling and feeling burnt out at work, regardless of whatever environment that you are, is primarily could be because of your nurturing instincts. Because part of being a nurturer is you want to make sure that everything around you is taken care of for. And so unless everything has gone to bed, when I say bed, I mean that everything has been shut off, your brain will not shut off. Now, one of the things, when I tell women this, one of the things that they tell me is like, oh my gosh, AB, even when women will think, first of all, they will think that, okay, if they quit, and then, they're working primarily in the home, this problem would disappear. And then they quit, then they're working primarily in the home, and now they even feel burned out times 2. And then they come back and say, well, Evie, what happened? I thought it was my job. And I'm like, no. Many women tell me all the time is that it's not just at work, but Evie, at home, I feel like I always have to be on. And I'm like, that's just nature's way of saying, congratulations, you are a caregiver. That's just its way. But does it mean that you're doomed now? That this is something that all of a sudden you have no control over? No. That's why I'm here to tell you what's going on, so that you can start to make those changes to pretty much reprogram yourself so that you can take control of your own life without it needing to take control of you. Okay? All right. So let's talk about the second reason that many times women struggle with the need to always be on, especially at work. So we have, I would say, I think it was during the Industrial Revolution, you guys. By the way, if this is the first time that you're watching me, let me just give you a precepts into the way that I teach. I love to go back in history and understand why we do what we do. So it's not just psychology too. I'm also fascinated by evolution and stuff like that, and history in general. And part of we being the newer ones in the workplace, what does that mean? Women have primarily been working outside the home. I would say between the 18th and 19th century when the Industrial Revolution started. And so it's in comparison to when humanity started, culture is very young. When I say culture, I mean we starting to work outside the homes. It's very young. And so because women haven't primarily been the ones that have been the hunters. Hunters means going to get food. And now you have a lot of women that are hunting for themselves. When I say hunt, again, you're providing for yourself or you're providing for your family. There's still a part of you that is pretty much feels the need to earn the right to be at work. Now, you guys, notice that I'm not blaming any third party. I'm not saying this external thing is a problem, that external, no. I'm talking about we and how our own behaviors contribute to that. Back to the second point. So what you would notice is that when you're at work, especially if you are in a role where a lot of women are not primarily there, or you are a woman who you're a female leader, so you're a manager, you're a director, you're an exec, whatever it is, you will feel this incessant pressure to earn your place at work, to prove that you deserve to be there. Now, what I have found, because you guys, all of these things that I'm telling you, I experienced them too as well, okay? Now, for me, my background is IT and engineering. And so I started in a field where there were about 10 girls in my class in university, you guys, and there were like 400 guys. What do you think is going to happen to me on a psychological level? Of course, I'm going to feel like, oh my gosh, now I have to be 10 times better than these people just so that I can feel like I'm good enough to be here. It's nobody's fault. It's just the way we're wired. It's this whole thing of when you are not the majority, there's a part of you that wants to blend in so that you can fit in. It's part of our human needs to be accepted, to be wanted. Okay? So this human need to be wanted and to be accepted is pretty much one of the main drivers into why women are feeling that pressure to prove themselves. If you are a female leader, because I have a lot of my clients are, if you are a female leader, you have this pressure 2, 3, 4 times more than the average woman at work. Okay? Because women have only been leaders for it's really young. It's really, really young. So because of this, what happens is that even when nobody has asked you to respond to an email at 6 p.m., you are going to go into a place of, oh my gosh, if I don't respond to this email at 6 p.m., they're going to think this, they're going to think that, they're going to look at and perceive me in a way where they might think I'm not capable. Again, this has, let's leave the third parties, the external people, and just talk about what's going on internally. We'll start to think like that. Now, what happens when you start thinking like that is you start to bring and attract more of those thoughts, which in turn eventually turns into your actions. And so what will happen is that because you have this need to want to earn and prove that you belong so that you can feel accepted and respected, that's part of that, you are going to engage in behaviors where you are proving yourself by showing up 24/7. And so what will happen is that when that email again comes at 6 p.m. or at 8 p.m., because that need is driving that behavior, you will respond. It doesn't matter whether you heard me say, don't respond to that email at 6 p.m. All of those thoughts, all of those fears, they're what is driving that behavior. And so you will respond to that. Even beyond email, you will notice that you're constantly thinking about work. You cannot shut your brain off. Even when you're sleeping, you're thinking about how you want to be first, how you want to excuse me, how you want to do this, how you want to do that. And what you will notice over time is that these behaviors will start to degrade your quality of life. And then, of course, it starts from stress and then becomes chronic stress, and then eventually it leads to burnout. And so the thing about this need to feel like you have to prove yourself, the first thing when women ask me is like, how do I not feel like I have to prove myself when I'm the only one that looks like me, or I have this telling me this and that telling me that? The first thing I ask them is, it starts with defining, how do you want to be viewed and seen at work? Like, forget about what other people are saying. How do you want to be viewed as them? Because it starts from there. It starts from there. Because when you have a clear perspective, nothing, your brain, one of the most beautiful gifts that you can give your brain is clarity and a goal. Oh my gosh, it's wired for that. Because when you get that clarity, you can then start to make those changes. Okay, ladies, I'm getting ahead of myself, but I just wanted to put in there. So if you're just joining us, we're talking about what are some of the things that causes women to feel burned out at work because they feel like they need to always be on, they always need to be available, they always need to respond to that email at 10 p.m. in the night, they have to wake up at 3 a.m. to get that project done. How do I know all of this? Because that used to be me. I used to do that. I used to wake up at 3 a.m. just so that I can get that project done and then they can know that 80 is good enough and stuff like that. I used to do all kinds of destructive behaviors just so that I could feel that I have earned the right to be where I am. And in return, it was just really me having a need to feel accepted. That's it. So over time, this need and this feeling like you have to prove yourself, again, will drive you to do things that even you do not want to do. Okay? The first one, if you're just joining us, the first one was the instinct that we have to be nurturers and how that actually works against us at work because we start to feel like the workplace is home and we have to feel like everyone is taken care of for, even though that's completely inappropriate and our colleagues and our managers are not our children or our partners. Okay. The third one and the major reason, and oh my gosh, all the women that I have coached, oh my gosh, is of course the people-pleasing tendency. See, ladies, I this was something I struggled with. Oh my gosh. Women would tell me, Amy, I'm a people pleaser. I'm like, okay. I used to be, if you're a people pleaser, I used to be like 100. And it affected me and plagued me so much that when I went through my own transformation journey and it burned me out and I almost lost my life as a result of it, it took me to a place where I had to go and research this thing. Why is it that so many women are people pleasing or have people pleasing tendencies? What is it? And then I started to find and see the link between how we evolved to survive as a clan in order to move society forward. Okay, so again, let's go back to our foremothers and our forefathers. Okay, when they were hunting and gathering and pretty much trying to survive, one of the reasons that humans have evolved faster than other animals, in addition to us being upright, is that we learned to form social bonds. And we were able to use these bonds to pretty much exchange resources that would help humanity move forward. Okay. So how does this relate to people pleasing? Okay. Now, because our ability to form social bonds was pivotal to survival, okay, our body, like our human body, has pretty much prioritized behaviors that will enable those social bonds to form. So for example, the need to pass on genes, our body has prioritized that. The need to make sure that we're connecting with others. That's why there's so much the loneliness epidemic is so much that it's actually causing more. I was reading somewhere where they were saying that there are more death or something, or more suicide because of the loneliness pandemic and stuff like that, and people feeling so lonely. Part of that is because we have not evolved to be alone. This doesn't mean that you always need people around you, but you need to be connected to people. That's what it means. Okay. So back to what I was trying to talk about here. Because we have evolved to prioritize behaviors that will enable formation of that social bond. When it comes to going against or doing things that will not enable that behavior, the body had certain cues, or we programmed our body to have certain cues that will prevent that. One of those cues was shame. So if in those days you did something that will cause the family or our tribes to be in danger, they will shame you and they'll kick you out. Are you guys listening? Good. Now, how does this play a role into why women are people pleasing? As women, I mentioned this when I talked about the first point about nurturing, but we have evolved to rely and depend on others for our survival. So we could not afford to speak up and prioritize myself in that time, because we would have died. We would have been shamed and kicked out. Like, who would have hunted for us and stuff like that? We would have died. So we have taken this behavior, even now where we have an abundance of food, we have shelter, we have clean water, we have all of this abundance around us. We still have that programming in us. We still have that wiring in us. And so what you would notice is that when you start to do things or engage in behaviors where it feels like you're prioritizing yourself, that's why you start to feel guilty. Ring-a-ding-ding. That's why you start to feel shame. That's why you start to feel like something is wrong with you. And so when you are at work, those feelings will also come up. And so you will find that more women are unable to be able to speak up for themselves and stop bending over backwards. Are you guys getting this? When I read this, my mind was blown, because I'm like, oh my gosh, all this time I thought as myself as a woman, I was like, what is wrong with us? Why can't we just say no? Like, what is this whole thing? And then as I started to read and understand how we have evolved, I'm like, oh, so that's why. Amazing. Because now that we know, we can change it. So if you are someone that is in a leadership role, again, I'm calling out my female leaders because a lot of you are my clients and I know the issues that you face. If you are in a leadership role, this feeling is double for you, okay? You are going to feel so much negative emotions when you start to do certain things to stop people pleasing. You will feel so much fear. It will feel like you're about to lose everything, okay? Sometimes we manifest these fears. We say, oh, we don't want to be fired. We don't want to be outcast, ostracized. We don't want to be targeted. These are all variations of this fear. So the question goes, now that you understand why a lot of women are struggling with this, what do we do about it? Okay, so let me pause, take a sip, because I need to, this is like, I can keep talking about this, you guys. Like, this is my high. I can keep talking about it. So oftentimes I have to pace myself and calm down. So give me a second. Let me take a sip of water, and then we'll go to the next part. Okay. So how are we doing so far? If you guys have any questions, whether you're on LinkedIn or you're on Facebook, put it in chat for me and I will address them. Okay. So before we move on to what do you do about it, I want to highlight the importance of not just knowing this, but actually now taking action to get out of it. See, everything that we do, every action that we take, it pretty much determines who we are. One of the things that has been happening is that studies are showing that the happiness level in women is going down. The quality and the rate at which more and more women are having illnesses, the last time I checked in terms of autoimmune diseases, 75% of the people with autoimmune diseases were women. You guys know some of the celebrities that have these diseases, like for example, Selena Gomez. She has lupus, right? And the last time I mentioned her, I told you guys that there was, I think I saw a post where she said she was going to hire a surrogate to help her carry her child. I don't know if they linked it to it being because she has lupus, but I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case. Many of the women I work with have autoimmune diseases, and they have this diseases over that diseases, and I'm like, what is going on? And so all of these things and all of these reasons that I'm talking about, there have been connections that have, not just connections, there have been studies that have shown a direct correlation between what we're thinking in our brain and the illness that we have. And so what scientists, they've been talking about this. I think this started in religion and then science started picking it up. What they've been saying that there's a connection between mind and body, okay? So essentially, when you start to take action to refocus the things that you focus on, refocus the things that you focus on, no pun intended. But when you start to take action to pretty much retrain your mind, you can actually change your physiological state, your body. You can actually start to heal yourself, okay? But more importantly is that many women are in positions where they cannot quit their jobs. They have so many people that they're responsible for. So it's oftentimes when they are coming to me, is like the option, it's either they quit or they're homeless. And I'm like, you don't have to choose any of those options. You can actually, there's a middle ground. It's called balance. And so I say this to say that if you're in a place in your life where you feel like your only option is to quit, you are a prime candidate for what I call the middle ground. Okay? It's all your decision, but you have to choose whether you want to quit and be homeless, if that's your case, or start to assess if there's a middle ground for you where you can actually have the career that you want, the money that you want, the success that you want, the family that you want. You can have it all. You can have it all, but that's a decision. And part of the things that I talked about, it being part of almost like natural, as a natural response to certain things, how do you fix that? How do you fix the fact that because you have nurturing genes, now you feel like you have to always take care of others? Like, how do you fix that? Okay. The first thing, one of the things that has helped me tremendously and has continued to help women is I've decided that I was not going to let anything take my life ever again. No job, no person, nothing will ever be above my health and my well-being. It doesn't matter whether nature tells me, AB, you have to put others first. I do not care. And so doing that, I started to focus my thoughts, and I rewired my brain to view prioritizing myself as good. And so when I would engage in behaviors where I am prioritizing myself, instead of feeling shame and guilt, do you guys know what I start to feel? Excitement, peace, fulfillment. How did I do this? Because I tied the feeling of good fulfillment, happiness, promotion of the social bonds, remember the primary need, I tie that to me filling my own cup so that I'm able to give from my overflow. Because if I am giving from my underflow and scarcity, what's going to happen is I'm going to start to feel resentful. And if I start feeling resentful and I come on live and I'm talking to you guys, you're going to feel that energy and it's going to turn you off. Therefore, no social bond is being promoted. Do you see how I flip that script? And so what I tell women is it starts with a decision. How do you want your life to run? This is your life. You have only one of it. How do you want your life to run? It starts there. Forget about the reasons. The reasons that I told you, you need to know them because they're working in the background. And oftentimes the things that control us are the things that we don't know. Okay? But now you know. How do you want to show up at work? How do you want people to perceive you at work? If you are someone in leadership role, how do you want your team? How do you want your superiors to perceive you? Do you want them to perceive you as someone that is so dispensable that you do not value yourself enough, that you feel the need to always put yourself last and engage in behaviors that they cannot respect? Let me break this down a little bit further. This also means that understanding that we as humans have evolved to respect people that respect themselves. That's how respect works. It's not by overworking yourself to the bone that is going to cause people to take you seriously. Yeah, people might tell you, oh my gosh, she's so hardworking. People tell me that. Oh my gosh, she's so hardworking. Oh my gosh, is that? But look at the actions they take when it comes to certain things that are supposed to uplift you. Oftentimes, what you would notice is that the people that are promoted, the people that are respected, are people that actually, they work at what we call a strategic level. They work smart. They're people that value themselves. They're people that value their time. They're people whose contributions are perceived as more valuable than the person that's responding to emails at 10 p.m. Okay? So this goes back to, how do you want your colleagues, your subordinates, your superiors, how do you want them to perceive you at work? You have to decide that first. The second thing is understanding, okay, I want them to perceive me as this competent woman who is exceptionally good at what she does, gets the job done, and at the same time understands her value in your organization and in her personal life, and so ensures that she is not overextending herself in either area. So whether that's at home and you overextending yourself there, that's part of devaluing yourself, by the way. It's not just at work. If you're doing the same thing at home and you are pretty much not taking care of yourself, you're doing chores at 12 a.m., 1 a.m., and you're waking up at 4 a.m. because you feel you have to do all of this stuff when nobody asked you to, that's actually the reverse of the same coin. So back to that point of deciding how you want to show up. Why is this important? Because this is going to give you focus on the next things that you can start to do to attract that. I am a firm believer that we attract the things that we focus our attention on 24/7. And this is not just A/B telling you so. There's science behind it and how our brain works. Okay? So the next thing is, once you have decided, is then defining what balance means to you and how you can put yourself as the center of your life, where you are running your corporate life in balance, running your personal life in balance, running your whatever life that you want to have in balance. And you're ensuring that you are pouring into yourself more than you are extending and giving out. Because what you will notice is that when you do that, you show up very differently. And people receive you very differently. All of a sudden now, people step into your field and people are convicted and influenced by what you say because you are speaking from a confident, well-nurtured, well-taken care of, competent, because part of competence and the ability to build your skills and talent and rise up the corporate ladder is having the energy and time to do so, right? Energy, time, resources to do so. Okay, so defining that and then starting to saying, okay, I want to be this person that pours more in so that when I'm pouring from my overflow, people perceive me better. And not only do people perceive you better, but you are not burned out. You are not overextended. You are not overutilized. Are you guys getting this? And then from there, it's almost like magic, but it's not magic. It's all science, you guys. It's all science, okay? But what you would notice is that because you're showing up differently energetically, is people start to respond to you very differently. I have been in meetings where I will bring up something, and the response is so different than when I'm bringing it up in a almost like a cool, calm, confident manner, and people respond differently. The same thing, the same words, different tone, different energy, different outlook, different beliefs, everything's different. And people receive that differently. So it all starts from there, you guys. It all starts from there, because when you have those two done, everything else becomes easier. And now you don't have to feel the need to blame your environment, blame your subordinates, blame your team, blame your partners, or blame everyone around you, because now you have the power to change it. And it doesn't mean that oftentimes the people around you may not be the problem, but once you've done the work on you, you have vision and clarity to see that, nope, this does not work for me. I need to get out of here. But until you do that work, you're not going to have that clarity. Okay? I don't want this live to be too long. Oh my gosh, you guys. I can, okay. I have to end it. Maybe we'll do a part 2. Okay, so if you're on LinkedIn, make sure to put your questions, and if you're on Facebook, make sure to put your questions too. But you guys, what was I going to say? I want to end this live. Yes, if there's anything that you're going to take from this, know this: that number one, as a woman, you're unique. Okay, but beyond that is that there's certain things in you that are genetically causing you to behave in certain ways where you feel like you have to always be on. And you can take control over that by defining how you want to show up in your personal and professional life. Okay? Just because you're a nurturer doesn't mean that you have to nurture everyone all the time. You can change that. You just have to start doing certain things. Your brain will take it up and it becomes automatic. Okay? Just because you've always been a people pleaser doesn't mean that you cannot change that behavior. That's another trait that can cause you to consistently feel like you cannot say no and you need to show up 100% at 24/7. Okay? The final one is, what was the final one, you guys? There were 3, the nurturer one, the people pleasing. What was the third one? Oh yes, women, the fact that women have not primarily been hunters, and so now that you're in the workplace, there are certain mechanisms in you that are going to cause you to feel fear and feel like you will be ostracized if you do not be available 24/7. And part of that is associated with the way we have evolved and women's roles traditionally in society that has helped us become who we are today. So it's a good thing, but it's just that we have to become conscious about how we use those gifts of ours, our ability to want to, connect with people, form social bonds, make sure everyone is all good and taken care of and stuff like that. Make sure that we're using it in a way that is not at our own detriment. Okay, there's so many more reasons. I'm going to talk about them maybe in the next week or two. But I hope you guys enjoyed the live. If you are someone who's in a place in your life where you are struggling to breathe, what do I mean? Many women tell me, AB, I'm so tired, I don't know what to do. If that sounds like you, where you feel like your only option is to quit your job because it's draining you, you have no peace, you have no energy to do anything, you have no time for yourself or your children, and you pretty much feel like it's taking your life. If that sounds like you, I can help. All of the steps that I've talked about today, this is the work that I do with my clients. So I will hold your hand and we will create a plan for you to get out of survival so that you can start thriving and having that energy and time and peace and enjoyment of your life. And you don't feel like you have to sacrifice your career or sacrifice your family, your time with your children, time with your husband or your partner, and time to do your hobbies. You don't feel like you have to give that away just because what? You have this thing? No, we get to have it all. We get to have it all. So if that sounds like you can reach out to me and we will have a conversation on where you are right now so that we can create that plan and we'll start working together to get you out of there so that you can have that time, peace, and energy to enjoy your life. But other than that, ladies, if you have any questions, feel free to put it in the chat. I will see you next week or maybe earlier. Who knows? Bye.